Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I welcome you all to another new week. Today we'll continue our book reading, Advancing in Strategy by Brian Tracy. Last week we looked at common types of objection. These are the common kind of questions or variety of ways that customers or clients might ask you a question in regards to your product, pricing, competitors, etc. We looked at general sales resistance, which is another form of asking question or another form of objection. Looked at request for information, which is another form of objection or question. We looked at subjective objection. Looked at show-off objection, malicious objection, which was the last place we read on our book reading last week. Okay, so today we look at the last part of common types of objection, and we look at the remaining objection clause. So like I said, we're still in chapter 10, closing the sales, the end game of selling, which is the last chapter for our book reading, Advancing in Strategy. So I'll continue from where we stopped under malicious objection on page 368. So when a prospect begins to share a problem experienced with you, recognize it as an opportunity to build trust. Encourage him to get it all out by asking questions like, and then what happened? And then what did you do? Keep saying, if you can, if I was in your position, I would feel the same way. The need to be understood underlines most close human relationships. It also accompanies good sales relationships. One of the statements used by customers to describe top salespeople in interview after interview is, he really understands my situation. At the very least, when a person is negative or difficult, refuses to react or respond, be bland and neutral. Pretend not to have heard, if possible. Don't add your own comments and put more fuel on the fire. Unspoken objections. These are the most dangerous of all. They can kill a sale if you do not uncover them and pull them out of the customer at the appropriate time. They are like invisible shields that block you from making the sales, even though you can see it clearly. They are like gates in the customer's mind that shut or draw bridges that are raised against the very best points in your presentation. Many sales are taken to the 95% mark and then are lost because the sales fails to recognize or elicit the final unspoken objections and deal with it effectively. If you have built an excellent relationship in the earlier parts of the sales process, it will be easier for you to get prospects to give you the final objections. You can also use the remaining objection clause to uncover the final concern. The remaining objections clause. When a prospect won't proceed and won't tell you why, you ask, Mr. Prospect, there seem to be some questions in your mind that is causing you to hesitate about going ahead right now. Do you mind if I ask what it is? After you ask a question like this, you must remain perfectly silent. Selling is the pressure of the silence in the room after you have asked a key question. If you leave the silence hanging there, the prospect will eventually move to fill the void by answering your questions. Acknowledge and compliment whatever question or objective he gives you as an answer. That's a good question, Mr. Prospect. I am glad you asked it. And in addition to that, is there any reason why you might be hesitant about going ahead with this offer right now? Again, remain silent. Often the first objection is merely a smoke screen. The real objection lies further below the surface. If he gives you another objection, you acknowledge it and go on. Continue asking. And in addition to that, Is there anything else? Until this prospect finally says no, that's my last concern. It is almost as if the prospect will give you a series of smaller objections before he gives you the major objection. Prospects seem to know that once you have elicited their major objections and you answer it, they will have no reason not to proceed. They will often hold this final objection back from you just to avoid making a buying decision. You then ask, well, Mr. Prospect, if you could answer that question to your complete satisfaction, will you be ready to go ahead right now? Wait until the customer says something like, yes, if you can take care of that concern, I don't see any reason not to go ahead. You then ask, Mr. Prospect, you tell me, what would it take to satisfy you in that area? The prospect answer to the final question will be the closing condition. This is the final hurdle you must leap to get the sales. It is the final roadblock that you must remove. Once he has told you what it is now your job to meet that condition to his satisfaction and then conclude the sale. The prospect may say something like, I would need to talk to 2 or 3 other people in my industry who are already using your product satisfactorily before I could make a final decision. You could then say something like, Mr. Prospect, rather than wasting time, let me make that a condition of the sales. We will write up the order exactly as we discussed it, subject to your speaking to 2 or 3 other people and being satisfied. Instead of you going out and gathering names and numbers and bringing them back to the prospect, you can ask for the order immediately with the prospect's signature subject to his following up on the reference you supply sometimes over the next 3 to 7 days. Always attempt to confirm the sales that moment, even if you have to make it subject to the fulfillment of another condition. You'll be much more likely to get and keep the sales this way than by attempting to come back later. Okay, this is where we stop for our reading this morning. We continue from where we stopped last week on common types of objection, and we looked at the last common type of objection or questions which may arise during sales conversation with your prospect or your customer, which is unspoken objections. So the book described this as one of the most dangerous objections that can kill a sale, or that can make sales not to be successful. And it is important that as a salesperson or as a professional salesperson, you try to uncover these questions in the mind of this prospect. The thing is, even if you don't ask, they will never tell you. Rather, if you do not ask, this prospect will speak up about these questions. So they are very, very invisible. You won't be able to know what that customer is asking of. So it is important to build an excellent relationship earlier when having this sales conversation with your prospect, so that you can be able to ask questions, be able to recognize these objections. It's when you've built an excellent relationship with someone, and this person is able to open up to you, to tell you what he or she has in mind generally, whether it's concerning sales or it's concerning a personal relationship or concerning meeting someone. So in matters of sales, you have to build an excellent relationship with this person, so he or she will be able to speak up about all the objections he has in his or her mind. So we went further to the remaining objection closed. It says, when the prospect won't proceed and won't tell you why, you ask Mr. Prospect, there seems to be some questions in your mind that causes you to hesitate about going ahead right now. Do you mind if I ask what it is? So when you know that this customer is hesitating to buy or to close the sales, this is where you have to start asking questions. Is there anything that is, making you not to buy or purchase our product? Is there anything that's making you not to work with my company? Or is there anything that's making you not to sign this contract? What are those questions you have in your mind that will not be able to make you, go ahead with what you have to do. So all these are, you just need to ask them questions. You give us examples of key questions you can ask. Another thing is also to compliment them when they ask these questions. Compliment them, and also remain silent and listen when they are talking about these objections that they have in mind concerning your product and services. Acknowledge it, continue asking these questions. You help them to even bring out more objections, more questions you want to ask you. So this is how you know what to do and how you're going to serve your customers or your prospect satisfactorily. So that is just a brief summary of our book reading for this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.